All the young girls were looking forward to attending the Alpha son's 18th birthday party, except me. I glanced at the clock on my bedroom wall, dragging my feet. I had delayed the inevitable long enough. Miles Davenport. He had once been my friend. Our dads were best friends, so we spent our early years together. But as Miles grew older, more popular and overly confident, he distanced himself. I became the butt of his jokes, a geek with books, not beauty. My brother Jordan followed him like a shadow, which only made everything worse. I went from being their friend to being their favorite target. "Bailey," my mom shouted. I sighed, glancing at the assignment I had been working on. I would have preferred to stay home and earn extra credit than attend Miles's birthday bash. But I got up anyway, straightened my simple black dress, fluffed my curls, and went downstairs, knowing no one would be looking at me tonight. All eyes would be on the birthday boy. As always, he would make sure of it. Mom drove us to the pack house while my younger sister, Morgan, flicked at my curls to annoy me. "Aw, you wanna go home, Bailey?" "Boo," she teased. I ignored her, focusing on surviving the event. "Stop it, you two. Your dad is waiting inside," Mom said, sounding way too cheerful. "Let's go find the birthday boy." Of course she was excited. She adored Miles. She had watched him grow up with Jordan and seemed to think the sun shone out of him. It drove me insane. "He won't even notice we're there," I muttered as I climbed out of the car. I glanced at Morgan's outfit. She was definitely overdressed, like she was trying to impress someone. And I had a pretty good guess who. Every other girl in our pack had hopes of being Miles's fated mate. Me? I couldn't imagine anything worse. The pack house was buzzing, music, decorations, she-wolves in fitted dresses. Inside the lounge, the party was pure chaos. I spotted Jordan, who smirked at me. "You could have made an effort, Bailey. It's a birthday, not a memorial." Typical. Then I saw Miles. His piercing blue eyes locked onto mine. They darkened. Was that his wolf surfacing? Before I could figure it out, he stormed out of the room. "Get out here," his voice ordered in my head. "What?" I snapped back, confused. Was he mad about my dress too? It was just black. "Outside. Now." That tone told me I had no choice. He wasn't just Miles. He was my future alpha. So I slipped away from my mother and sister, from the music and chatter, and headed toward the front of the pack house. He was pacing at the bottom of the steps, jaw tight, shoulders tense, looking both furious and lost. I hovered at the top, debating whether I should just turn around and go home. Before I could move, he looked up. "Took you long enough," he snapped. I frowned, completely lost as to what his problem even was. His eyes darkened again, that deep blue taking over. "What's wrong, Miles? Do you want me to get Jordan?" I asked. "No, I do not," he said sharply. "I don't want anyone knowing this." That sounded ominous. "I don't understand," I said carefully. "You will," he said coldly. He stared at me like I was some kind of cosmic joke. "I just met my wolf, and guess what? The goddess thinks you're my mate." I froze. "No. No way I'm your fated mate," I whispered, my voice shaking. "Are you sure? Are you doubting me?" He shot back. "I'm an alpha. I deserve someone strong, impressive, not a quiet, bookish girl. Don't worry. I'll reject you when the time is right." His words cut like a blade. A year later came another birthday party for our beloved upcoming alpha. Not my beloved upcoming alpha. I hated him. He had broken my heart without a second thought and never really stopped twisting the knife. I still didn't know what I had done to deserve that treatment, other than not being one of the giggling girls constantly hoping for his attention. "Bailey," Mom yelled up the stairs. "Will you hurry up?" "Do I really have to go?" I called back. "Miles won't care if I'm not there." "Your aunt and uncle will," she said. "I am not explaining to them again why you are missing." Morgan giggled outside my door. "Such a bookworm. No wonder you have no friends." "Go away," I muttered. "I have friends. Just not the kind you respect." I put on black trousers and a white tank top. Not that it mattered, whatever I wore, someone would comment. Either way, I was counting down the days. Less than a month until I left for university. Out of state. Away from this family and this pack. And away from him. The party was already in full swing when we arrived. We pushed through the corridors to the main lounge. As expected, Miles stood at the center of it all, surrounded by people, radiating that confident I own this place energy. Before I even stepped fully into the room, his voice cut into my mind. "Why are you here?" I rolled my eyes. Didn't exactly get a say. "Trust me, I'd rather not be." "You were going to attend your Alpha's party." "You literally just asked why I came," I shot back. He pulled me back as I tried to leave. "Going somewhere?" "You said I shouldn't be here. I figured I'd do us both a favor." He leaned in, breathing in my scent. It unnerved me. "Just stay away from me. Don't ruin my night." Jordan appeared and accused me of bothering Miles. I laughed bitterly, as if I wanted to be anywhere near him. I fled upstairs. I needed quiet, but of course, he followed. "Why didn't you tell me you were leaving?" he asked. "Why would I? We're not friends." "You picked the farthest college you could," he growled. "And you should be thrilled. No more seeing the moon goddess's mistake. Maybe you'll find someone else." "You should. I'll be choosing a Luna soon." I stood to leave, but he grabbed my wrist. "Always so smug, aren't you, Bailey? Let's end this properly. I, Niles Davenport, reject you, Bailey West, as my fated mate." The pain hit like fire, but I bit my tongue. I wouldn't break for him. 3 years later, I drove home, degree in hand, confident, changed. No longer the insecure girl he had cast aside. Harley barely recognized me at the gate. Straight hair, contacts instead of glasses. He smiled. "You look good." At the house, my mom greeted me warmly. "You look beautiful, sweetheart." Then I saw him. Miles stood outside his home, eyes narrowing when he saw me. For a second, no one else existed. Not my mom, not the patrol warrior at the gate, not the pack house looming behind him. Just those blue eyes, sharper than I remembered, snagging on every changed piece of me. "Bailey?" His voice brushed against my mind before he could stop it. It sounded rough, like he hadn't used the link in a long time. I didn't answer. Instead, I stepped out of the car, smoothed my trousers, and shut the door with a soft click. Mom was already talking, something about how proud she was, how fast the drive had been. I barely heard her. "Bailey, honey, grab your bag," she called. "I've got it," I said, popping the trunk and dragging out my suitcase. Harley, the gate guard, jogged over and lifted it with a low whistle. "Damn, West. You sure you didn't pack a whole library in here?" "Maybe I did," I replied. "You going to complain?" He grinned. "Never. Glad you're back." I was halfway up the path to our house when Mom's voice drifted back to Miles. "Come over for dinner tonight, Miles. We're celebrating Bailey's graduation." Of course she invited him. I felt the tug of his gaze between my shoulder blades, hot and uncomfortable. The old me would have turned, searching his face for any sign of approval. The new me kept walking. "I'll see if I'm free, Mrs. West," he said politely. Liar, my wolf, quiet for years, muttered from somewhere deep inside me. He's the Alpha's son. He's always free. I shut her down. I hadn't let myself listen to her much over the last 3 years. It was easier to pretend she didn't exist than to constantly feel her reaching for someone who'd thrown us away. Inside, the house smelled like home, coffee, fresh bread, and that faint pine and rain scent that clung to all pack houses. Mom fussed over me, made me sit, shoved food in front of me even though I'd eaten on the road. "You look so grown up," she said, brushing my hair behind my ear. "Jordan will be upset he missed your arrival. He's on patrol." "I'm not 5, I said lightly. "He'll survive." Morgan, now 16 and somehow even more dramatic than before, leaned in the doorway, scrolling on her phone. "Wow," she said, looking me up and down. "College really glowed you up. You don't look like such a loser anymore." "Wow," I echoed. "High school really didn't fix your personality." She rolled her eyes and disappeared upstairs. For the first time in a long time, the jab barely stung. I'd spent 3 years surrounded by people who didn't know my family, who didn't compare me to my brother or sigh over Miles. People who liked me for me. I clung to that. Dinner at 7, Mom said. I told everyone to come. Everyone? I repeated slowly. She smiled, oblivious. Well, of course. Your aunts, your uncles, a few of the warriors, and Miles and his parents. They're practically family, Bailey. It wouldn't feel right without them. My stomach twisted. Great, I said, and forced a smile. Can't wait. By 7, the house was buzzing. Laughter, clinking cutlery, footsteps, and the low thrum of mind-linked chatter I could feel but not hear. I took a deep breath in my room, smoothing my shirt. I'd changed into jeans and a soft blue top, casual, but put together. The mirror showed a version of me I still wasn't fully used to, straighter hair falling past my shoulders, green eyes unobstructed by glasses, a face a little sharper, more confident. You can do this, I told myself. It's just one dinner. Then you figure out your next move. When I stepped into the living room, every conversation stuttered for a heartbeat. There she is. My uncle boomed, slapping his knee. Our graduate. My aunt swooped in with hugs and perfumed kisses. Someone shoved a glass of sparkling juice in my hand. The room felt small and loud, walls closing in. And then he walked in. Miles filled the doorway like he owned it. Maybe he did. Broad shoulders, dark hair pushed back from his face, jaw rough with a kind of stubble that was probably intentional. He wore a dark shirt rolled at the sleeves, exposing strong forearms. His alpha aura brushed over the pack like a wave, and people shifted instinctively, making space. His eyes found me instantly. The mind link brushed my thoughts, tentative this time. Bailey. I shut it out like slamming a door. His jaw ticked. About time, Jordan said, clapping him on the back. Thought the alpha's son was going to be late to dinner. Got held up, Miles replied, eyes never leaving mine. Morgan giggled somewhere behind me. He's staring at you, she whispered in my ear like we were 12 again. Maybe he finally noticed you're not completely hopeless. Don't you have homework? I muttered. Summer break, she sang, and flounced away. Come on, everyone, Mom said. Sit. The roast is getting cold. We shuffled to our seats. I ended up across from Miles, of course. He sat between his parents, posture rigid, fork untouched. I pretended not to notice the way his gaze kept flicking to my hands, my face, my neckline, as if he was trying to piece together how I'd become someone he didn't recognize. So, Bailey, Alpha Thomas said, dabbing at his mouth with a napkin. Top of your class. Impressive. Not top, I corrected automatically. Just near the top. Mom swatted my arm. She's being modest. She graduated with honors. They offered her a position in their research department, didn't they? Every head turned toward me. It's just an internship, I said. With a data analysis firm in the city. Humans, one of the older warriors grunted. Always poking at numbers. It's good experience, Alpha Thomas said. But you'll still come back to us when you're done, right? The table quieted. I opened my mouth, then stopped. Because I didn't know. For the first time in my life, I had options that didn't begin and end with this pack. With them. I'm keeping my options open, I said carefully. A muscle in Miles's cheek jumped. The city is dangerous for our kind, he said abruptly. You'd be alone out there. No pack to watch your back. I met his gaze head on. I've been alone before, I said. I managed. His parents shifted uncomfortably. Mom's smile faltered. Bailey, she warned softly. It's true, though, I added, tone lighter. I survived university. I think I can survive one more internship. That's not what I meant, Miles said, voice low. I raised my brows. Then what did you mean? Our eyes locked across the table, a silent crackle of defiance, and something else I refused to name. Enough shop talk, my aunt cut in brightly, sensing the tension. Tell us about the campus parties. Did you meet any nice boys? Heat crawled up my neck. A few years ago, that question would have sent me into a spiral of embarrassment. Now, I just took a sip of juice. I met nice people, I said. Friends. Classmates. Any wolves? One of the warriors asked. A few, I said. Most of them were from city packs. Different customs. Did you ever think about? My aunt lowered her voice as if the word were scandalous, finding someone there? A mate? I could feel Miles's attention sharpen like a blade. I thought about a lot of things, I said. Mostly about surviving finals. Laughter rippled around the table. The tension eased a fraction, but under the surface, something thrummed. The bond I'd spent 3 years ignoring twisted inside my chest, restless now that we were in the same room again. He rejected us, my wolf murmured quietly. Don't forget. I won't, I promised. After dinner, people drifted outside to enjoy the cool night air. Fireflies winked at the edge of the trees. The pack house lights glowed in the distance. I slipped away from the main group, heading toward the old swing that hung from the big oak in our yard. It had always been my thinking spot. Quiet, slightly away from everything, but close enough that I could pretend I still belonged. I sat, toes brushing the grass, the chain creaking softly. Some things never change, a voice said behind me. I didn't jump. I'd felt him coming, like a pressure on the back of my neck. I'm not 6 anymore, I said. I don't need to be pushed. Miles came around the tree and stood in front of me. The porch light caught the edges of his hair, turning it into a dark halo. No, he said quietly. You're not. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Crickets chirped. Someone laughed near the house. My heart pounded against my ribs like it wanted to claw its way out and run. Why are you back? He asked finally. I blinked. This is still my home. You could have stayed in the city for the summer, he said. Plenty of people do. Stalking my LinkedIn now? I shot back. His mouth twitched, not quite a smile. Your mom told my mom who told me, he said. You know how it is. I looked past him, toward the tree line. Mom wanted a big family welcome, I said. I didn't have the energy to argue. And after that? He pressed. What's your plan? Job. Apartment. Living my life, I said. Is that an acceptable answer, Alpha? He flinched almost imperceptibly at the title. You used to call me Miles, he said. You used to call me your friend, I replied. Things change. Anger flashed in his eyes, then faded into something tired. I was stupid, he said. I was 18, my wolf had just come in, everyone was watching, my father was. Don't, I cut in sharply, standing so fast the swing jerked. Don't you dare stand here and try to explain that away like it was a bad test score. He stepped back as if I'd shoved him. I'm not, he said. I'm trying to apologize. You already did, I said. In your own special way. 3 years ago, in that upstairs room, his hand crushing my wrist, his voice like ice as he said the words that shattered my world. Let's end this properly. I, Niles Davenport, reject you, Bailey West, as my fated mate. The memory still tasted like blood. You never accepted it, he said quietly. I froze. What? He took a step closer, cautiously, like I was a wild animal he might spook. You never said the words back, he said. I waited. The bond didn't break. My wolf. He's been half feral ever since. A bitter laugh tore out of me. So this is my fault now? I said. Sorry my heart didn't get with your program and instantly detached just because you decided I wasn't good enough. That's not what I'm saying, he said quickly. I'm saying the bond is still there. I feel it. Stronger now that you're back. Don't you? I did. It was like standing next to a live wire. Every breath I took dragged in his scent, pine, storm, and something darker underneath. My wolf howled, pushing against my ribcage, desperate to get closer. I folded my arms across my chest and lied. No. His eyes flickered, hurt flashing and disappearing so fast I almost doubted I'd seen it. Bailey. Don't, I said again, stepping back. You made your choice. You don't get to unmake it just because I don't fit your little quiet, bookish nobody box anymore. He opened his mouth, shut it, then scrubbed a hand over his face. There's a lot you don't know, he said. Things I couldn't tell you then. Things I still can't fully explain. That sounds like a you problem, I said. Not mine. I turned to go. Rogues, he said suddenly. I stopped. What? He glanced toward the trees, then back at me. We've had more of them near the borders, he said. Someone's organizing them. Testing our defenses. I've been dealing with it for months. And? I asked slowly. And? You always were good with patterns, he said. With information. With seeing what the rest of us miss. Jordan says you're doing some kind of data work now. I stared at him. You dragged me out here to ask me to consult? I said, incredulous. On rogue attacks? Color rose in his cheeks. I didn't drag you out here, he said. You came to your swing. I followed. That's semantics. He hesitated, shoulders squaring like he was preparing to be hit. We need help, he said finally. I need help. I thought maybe, if you were willing, you could take a look at the patrol reports. Distance. Timing. Attack patterns. Anything that might show a strategy. You have a whole pack of warriors, I said. Betas. Advisors. And you came to the girl you rejected to fix your rogue problem? He held my gaze. I came to the smartest person I know, he said simply. The words knocked the air out of me more effectively than any punch. I don't owe you anything, I said, voice quieter. You know that, right? Yes, he said. I know. Silence stretched between us. But the thing was, he was right about one thing. I'd always liked puzzles. Numbers. The way patterns in data could reveal a story no one else could see. And rogues weren't a joke. If someone was organizing them, it meant danger. Not just for him, but for my family. For the kids playing in the backyards, the elders sitting on porches. People who had never laughed when I cried, who had never called me names under their breath. Fine, I said slowly. I'll look. That's it. No long talks about us, no dramatic mate speeches. Just numbers. Pain and relief flickered across his face. I'll have the beta bring the reports tomorrow, he said. Thank you, Bailey. Don't thank me yet, I said. You might not like what I find. The next morning, a knock sounded at our front door at 8 sharp. I opened it to find Eli, Miles's beta, on the porch, arms full of folders and a tablet. He'd been a year ahead of us in school, always kind in a quiet, steady way. Bailey, he said, smiling. Good to have you back. It's temporary, I said automatically, then winced at myself. But thanks. He handed me the stack. These are the last 6 months of patrol logs, incident reports, and border shift schedules, he said. Plus camera footage timestamps where we have them. Light reading, I muttered. If you need anything, link me, he said. Or drop by the office. I'm in the West Wing most days. I nodded. As soon as the door shut, I took everything upstairs and spread it across my bed. Old Bailey would have been overwhelmed. New Bailey rolled up her sleeves and went to work. Hours slipped by. I built a crude map on my laptop, marking attack sites, times, patrol routes. At first, it seemed random. But the more I layered, the more something nagged at me. By the time Mom called me for lunch, I had 3 possibilities and a growing headache. You're working already? She asked, glancing at the papers. Just helping with something, I said. For the pack. Pride softened the worry lines around her mouth. That's my girl, she said. Always so responsible. If only responsibility made up for all the other things I wasn't. After lunch, I headed to the pack house. Eli waved me into the office and cleared space on the big table. Warn me if you're about to tell me we're doomed, he said lightly. Not doomed, I said. Just poked. Miles was already there, leaning over a different set of reports. He straightened when I walked in, his wolf surging forward just enough that I felt a brush of heat under my skin. Focus. I set my laptop down, connected it to the big screen, and brought up the map. These are your documented attacks, I said. color-coded by severity. Miles's eyes scanned the dots. Looks random, he said. That's what I thought at first, I said. But watch. I overlaid the border patrol routes. Now, I said, these lines are your standard patrols. Same times, same paths, most days, with minor variations. And? Eli asked. And whoever's organizing these rogues is watching you, I said. Every single attack happens within 15 minutes of a patrol change. Either when one group is heading back in and the other hasn't fully taken over, or when a route has been slightly adjusted. Eli swore under his breath. That's not great, he said. It gets worse, I said. The attacks are getting closer to your supply routes. Not the obvious ones. The side paths. If they keep going this way, they're either trying to test how fast you respond, or they're planning something bigger. Miles's jaw clenched. You're saying someone on the inside is feeding them information, he said. I'm saying someone who understands your patrol patterns very well is either leaking or has been compromised, I said. Rogues don't suddenly become geniuses overnight. Silence dropped like a stone. Eli looked physically ill. We've been doing double shifts, he said. People are tired. If we pull everyone in, we'll be more vulnerable, not less. Then don't pull everyone, I said. Rotate. Change your patterns. Make them think you're still predictable while you quietly rearrange the board. Miles studied the map again, then looked up at me with something like grudging respect. How long would it take you to build a model? He asked. Something that could help us test different routes? For a second, my brain short-circuited. Because that was my language. My world. A few days, I said slowly. Maybe less if I don't have Morgan screaming about the bathroom every 10 minutes. He huffed out a laugh. I can have a workspace set up in the East Wing, he said. Quiet. Secure. I'm not moving into your house, I said immediately. I didn't ask you to, he replied. The East Wing is for pack business. Not my personal space. You're kind of the same thing these days, I muttered. His mouth twitched. Still, he said, the offer stands. You'd have full access to secure systems. And you'd be closer to patrol reports when they come in. I hesitated. This was dangerous. Not just because of the rogues, but because of the proximity. To him. To everything I tried to leave behind. But my fingers itched to build that model. To turn chaos into something we could fight. Fine, I said. I'll take the workspace. On one condition. His brows lifted. Name it. I'm not doing this as your mate, I said. I'm doing this as someone who's good at what she does. You treat me like any other consultant. No weird comments. No guilt trips. No using the bond to manipulate me. He sobered. I won't, he said. You have my word. Maybe I'll believe that someday, I said. For now, I'll settle for a locked door and decent Wi-Fi. The next weeks blurred into a strange rhythm. Mornings at home. Coffee with Mom. Morgan's chatter. Patrol reports in my inbox. Afternoons in the East Wing office, building models, analyzing patterns, arguing with Eli about resource allocation. And Miles. Always hovering at the edges. He came to every briefing. Asked sharp questions. Pushed back when he thought I was underestimating a threat, listened when I explained why we couldn't just throw bodies at a problem. Slowly, painfully, I saw a man underneath the arrogant boy I'd loved. He still messed up. Still snapped when he was tired, still defaulted to control when he was scared. But he also stayed late to help clean up after meetings. He walked the border with exhausted warriors instead of just sending orders. He visited injured wolves in the infirmary, left without drawing attention to himself. Once, after a long night of rerouting patrols, I fell asleep at my desk. I woke up under a blanket that smelled like pine and rain and something that made my heart ache. I threw it off like it burned. You can't trust him, my rational brain said. But my wolf, traitorous thing that she was, purred. He's learning. The first major attack came 3 weeks later. I was at the office when the alarm sounded, 3 short pulses through the mind blink that meant breach, west border. Eli barked orders, warriors scrambled, and I stood frozen for a split second in the middle of the chaos. Bailey. Miles grabbed my arm. Stay here, he said. Lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone who doesn't use this code. He pushed the sequence into my mind, sharp, specific. What about my family? I demanded, heart thundering. They're in the safe zone, he said. I already had Jordan move them when the scouts reported movement. Trust me. I almost laughed at the word. He must have felt it. Please, he added quietly. And somehow, that did it. I nodded. He released me and shifted mid-stride, bones cracking, fur bursting along his skin. His wolf, huge, dark, intimidating, hit the ground running, followed by half a dozen others. The doors shut with a heavy thud. I locked them, then turned to the screens. Cameras showed snippets of the chaos. Dark shapes darting through the trees. Flashes of fur, teeth, claws. Rogues, lean and wild-eyed, attacking not in a blind rush, but with eerie coordination. My stomach dropped. This wasn't just a test. This was an attempt to break something. A pattern emerged even as I watched. Come on, I whispered, fingers flying over the keyboard. What are you after? 15 minutes in, I saw it. They weren't focusing on the main patrol. They were driving them. Herding them toward a narrow ravine where the ground was unstable, an old landslide area that hadn't fully settled. If they pinned the patrol there and brought down the rocks. I opened the mind-link channel to Miles so fast my head hurt. Ravine. West Sector. They're funneling you. His response was immediate, breathless. How do you know? Cameras. I pushed an image into his mind. Old footage, training exercises near the ravine, overlaid with live data. He swore. Eli, pull back the second squad, he ordered. Circle from the north. Don't let them push you into the ravine. The battle turned. Slowly, painfully, but it turned. When it was over, 3 warriors were injured, 1 badly. 2 rogues were dead. 1 they managed to knock out and drag back to the cells. I was in the infirmary when Miles walked in, shirt torn, blood on his neck, not his, I realized with a jolt. Our eyes met across the room. Without thinking, I reached out through the bond, a quick brush of concern. You're hurt. He blinked, surprised, then glanced down as if only now feeling the scratches. It's nothing, he said. Are you okay? I pulled back like I'd touched a hot stove. I'm fine. The injured warrior groaned. The healer waved us away. Give me space, she snapped. All of you. Outside, in the hallway, Eli sank onto a bench. We'd have been trapped, he said, looking at me with open gratitude. You saved our asses, West. Heat prickled behind my eyes. I just looked at the feeds, I said. You did the fighting? That's how packs work, he said. Everyone plays their part. Miles watched me, silent. Thank you, he said finally. Really? You owe me coffee, I said, trying to lighten the moment before it got too heavy. And maybe a better chair in my office. My back is killing me. He huffed out a laugh. Done, he said. Word spread fast. Bailey West, the bookish nobody, had helped save the Western Patrol. Warriors I'd grown up watching from a distance now nodded at me with respect. Young wolves in training whispered about patterns and models and data, like those things weren't the nerdiest words in the universe. It felt good. Dangerous, but good. It made it harder to cling to the version of myself that had been nothing but a shadow in my own life. And it made it harder to ignore the way Miles kept trying. Little things at first. A cup of coffee appearing on my desk exactly how I liked it. A jacket draped over my shoulders when I worked late and forgot how cold the East Wing got at night. Bigger things later. Him shutting down pack gossip when someone made a snide comment about my past. Him openly praising my work in front of elders who would have dismissed me. Once, I overheard him talking to Alpha Thomas. She's an asset, he said. If she decides to leave, we should make it on good terms. She deserves options. You're not worried about her taking our secrets to another pack? His father asked. No, he said. Because we don't deserve her if we build this place on fear. It hit me harder than any insult he'd ever thrown. He was changing. Or trying to. But then came the night that cracked everything open. It was a full moon. The pack ran under the silver light, fur and paws and howls blending into a wild symphony. I stayed behind, my wolf restless but quiet. The bond with Miles made full moon runs complicated, too intense. I wasn't ready. I was in the east wing, backing up files, when I heard raised voices in the courtyard. Curious, I stepped onto the balcony that overlooked the open space. Below, Miles stood facing a tall, blonde she-wolf in a fitted dress. Serena. I remembered her from school, always poised, always surrounded by admirers. Perfect future Luna material. It's time, she was saying. Your alpha ceremony is in 2 months. The pack needs to see stability. They need to see their future Luna. Miles's shoulders were stiff. I haven't made a decision, he said. I'm not going to rush one just to appease a few gossips. A few? She laughed softly. Miles, half the pack assumes it will be me. Our parents already. Our parents don't get to choose my mate, he snapped. They did once, she said quietly. Or did you forget? The words hit like ice water. She took a step closer, lowering her voice, not realizing I could hear every word. They told you a scholar Luna would make you look weak, she said. They told you needed someone who could fight beside you, who looked good on your arm at gatherings. They told you the pack would question you if you chose the quiet girl who always sat in the back of the room. His jaw clenched. They were wrong, he said. Maybe, she said. But you listened. And you heard her. And you've been paying for it ever since. He said nothing. I care about you, Serena went on, softer. I always have. I would have said yes if you'd asked 3 years ago. I'll still say yes if you ask now. But I won't be your backup plan because the girl you rejected won't have you back. My breath caught. She hasn't. Said she won't, he said. Serena tilted her head. Has she forgiven you? She asked. Have you forgiven yourself? Silence. That's what I thought, she said. You're my friend, Miles. You deserve a Luna who chooses you freely. Not one who feels like the goddess shoved her into your life and slammed the door. She turned, walked away, and shifted at the edge of the trees, disappearing into the night. Miles stood alone in the courtyard, head tipped back, eyes closed. I gripped the balcony railing, the metal biting into my palms. So that was it. The missing piece. Not just an arrogant boy randomly deciding I wasn't good enough, but pressure. Expectations. Parents and elders whispering in his ear that his fated mate wasn't the right image. Not an excuse. But a context. I hated that it made my anger wobble. I almost went back inside, pretended I'd heard nothing. Instead, I found myself walking down the stairs and out into the courtyard, drawn to him like the tide to the moon. He opened his eyes as I approached, like he'd felt me coming. How much of that did you hear? He asked. Enough, I said. He looked away, then back. They wanted me to choose Serena, he said simply. When my wolf recognized you, they panicked. A Luna who preferred books to battle, who didn't like crowds, who shrank whenever someone raised their voice. They said the pack would never respect me. And you listened, I said. I was 18, he said. Everything I did felt like it was under a microscope. My father, the elders, my friends. Everyone had an opinion. I convinced myself I agreed with them. He laughed once, a harsh sound. I told myself I deserved someone impressive, he said. As if surviving in this pack as the quiet, bookish girl wasn't impressive as hell. A lump formed in my throat. I didn't need you to be perfect back then, I said. I just needed you to not throw me away like garbage. His expression twisted. I know, he said. I see that now. I've seen it every day for 3 years. He took a step closer. My wolf never accepted the rejection, he said. He howled for you in his sleep? I ignored him. Pushed him down. Told myself I'd done the right thing. And now? I asked. Now. He exhaled, shoulders sagging. Now I'm trying to fix what I broke. Not because the goddess says I have to, but because every day you're here, I remember how it felt before I let everyone else's voices drown out my own. We stood there, the night pressing in around us. I can't go back, I said. To how it was. To who I was. I don't want you to, he said instantly. I like this version of you. The one who tells me when I'm being an idiot. The one who makes half the elders scramble to keep up with her spreadsheets. Against my will, a small huff of laughter escaped. You're still an idiot, I said. I know, he said. But I'm your idiot. My heart lurched. No, I said, forcing steel into my voice. You don't get to claim me like that. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Pain flickered in his eyes, but he nodded. Then let me say it another way, he said. I'm Miles. Not your alpha. Not the idiot boy who broke your heart. Just Miles. And I'm asking if we can start over. Not as fated mates, not as future Alpha and possible Luna. Just as two people who grew up together and lost their way. I swallowed hard. That's not a small thing to ask, I said. I know, he replied. I'll wait for your answer. As long as it takes. He turned to leave, then paused. Oh, he added, almost as an afterthought. The Alpha ceremony. The elders want me to announce my Luna that night. I'm going to tell them no. I stared at him. They'll lose their minds, I said. Probably, he said. But I'd rather walk into that role alone than drag someone beside me who doesn't want to be there. He left me standing in the courtyard, heart in pieces for a completely different reason than the last time. The rogue situation worsened before it got better. We caught more of them. Most were terrified, half-starved, driven by someone's promises of food and safety. All they knew was that there was a benefactor who gave them orders and threatened them if they disobeyed. We dug. We traced the flow of information. Eventually, the pattern pointed to a single name that made my stomach drop. Jordan. It didn't make sense at first. My brother, the golden boy, the one who'd shadowed Miles for years. Loyal, steady, dull in that reliable way that made parents proud. But the data didn't lie. His patrol routes, his shifts coincided too perfectly with the rogues' attacks. His encrypted messages, once we broke them, led to anonymous accounts funneling money to rogue groups. When confronted, he didn't deny it. They promised me a place in the New Order, he said, eyes wild. A pack where I'd be beta, not you, Miles. A pack that didn't waste its leadership on weak mates and bookworms. The words hit me like a physical blow. Weak, I repeated. Is that what you've always thought? He sneered. You hid in your room with your stupid books while the rest of us actually did things, he said. You think anyone's really impressed you can make charts now? I am, Eli said quietly from the doorway, fists clenched. We all are. Unlike you, she used her talents to protect this pack, not sell it out. In the end, Jordan was exiled. Mom cried for days. Dad went silent in a way I'd never seen before. Morgan alternated between anger and denial. The pack was shaken. I was numb. He chose, Miles said one night, as we sat on the steps of the pack house, staring at the dark line of the forest. He listened to the wrong voices. Just like I did. But he didn't stop before the point of no return. Are you saying you did? I asked. He paused. I'm trying to, he said. You're the only one who gets to decide if it's enough. The Alpha ceremony came on a crisp autumn night. The pack gathered in the clearing, torches flickering, the moon high and bright. I stood near the back with Mom and Morgan, heart pounding. Miles knelt before Alpha Thomas, head bowed. The old Alpha spoke the traditional words, passing leadership to his son, his voice strong despite the shimmer of emotion in his eyes. When it was done, Miles stood, power rolling off him in a wave that made the hair on my arms stand on end. The pack howled, acknowledging him. Then he lifted a hand, asking for silence. Before I accept this role fully, he said, voice carrying through the clearing, there's something I need to say. My stomach dropped. Don't, I thought. Don't you dare make this about me in front of everyone. He looked out over the pack, then directly at me. When I was 18, he said, I made a choice I've regretted every day since. I let fear and pride in other people's expectations convince me to reject the one person the goddess chose for me. Murmurs rustled through the crowd. Bailey West, he said, eyes unwavering. I hurt you. Publicly and privately. I treated you as if you were less when you've proven you are more than this pack deserves, again and again. You helped save our warriors. You uncovered the traitor among us. You've done more to protect us than most wolves ever will. Heat burned up my neck, my ears. I wanted to sink into the ground. I owe you an apology, he went on. Not as your alpha. As the boy who broke your heart. I am sorry. And I know sorry is not enough. He took a breath. I'm not asking you to accept the mate bond, he said. I'm not asking you to stand beside me as Luna. I'm asking the pack to understand that whether she chooses me or not, Bailey is owed respect. She is owed safety. And she is owed the freedom to make her own choice, without pressure from me or anyone else. The murmurs shifted. Alpha Thomas, now standing with the elders, watched silently. Serena, near the front, smiled faintly. I will lead this pack, Miles said. With or without a Luna, until the goddess decides otherwise. But I won't do it by sacrificing someone else's happiness for my image. He lowered his hand. The clearing was silent for a heartbeat. Then, slowly, one wolf started to howl. Another joined. And another. Not for tradition. For change. My chest felt too tight. Go, Mom whispered at my side. Talk to him. I don't. She squeezed my hand. Bailey, she said. I was wrong too. I should have seen how much you were hurting back then. I should have protected you better. Don't let my mistakes, and his, keep you from the life you deserve. Whatever that looks like. I stared at her, startled. This was the first time she'd acknowledged it, really acknowledged it. I don't know what I want, I admitted. That's okay, she said. Just don't let fear make the decision for you. My legs moved before my brain caught up. I found Miles at the edge of the clearing, away from the crowd, staring up at the moon like he was asking it for advice. You like dramatic speeches, I said. He flinched, then turned. Only when necessary, he said. Did it? Was it too much? Yes, I said. But they needed to hear it. He nodded once. I meant every word, he said. I know, I said. We stood there, the space between us heavy with everything unsaid. I still don't know if I can forgive you, I said quietly. Not completely. Not yet. I know, he said again, softer. But, I added, I think we can try something else. His eyes searched mine. What? Start over, I said. Like you said. Not as Luna and Alpha. Not as goddess-chosen mates. Just us. Two idiots who grew up together and are trying to figure out who they are without everyone else's voices in their heads. His throat worked. And if that path leads us back to each other? He asked. Then it does, I said. But if it doesn't, we'll survive. We already have. A slow, hopeful smile spread across his face. I can work with that, he said. I held up a hand. On one condition, I said. Another one? He asked, amused. Several, actually, I said. But we'll start with this. I'm still taking the job in the city. I'll split my time for now, consult when needed. But I won't stay here just because it makes you feel better to have me close. His smile softened. I'd be disappointed if you did, he said. You're meant for big things, Bailey. Bigger than this valley. My chest squeezed. And you? I asked. What are you meant for? He looked out over the clearing, at the wolves laughing, arguing, living. Trying to be a better alpha than the one I almost became, he said. One decision at a time. I nodded. Seems fair, I said. We'll both work on ourselves. See where it takes us. He extended his hand. Friends? He asked. The word felt too small. Too safe. But maybe that was what we needed. For now. Friends, I said, and took it. The bond flared at the contact, hot and bright, but instead of trying to pull us together, it settled into a quiet thrum, like a heartbeat in the background. Not solved. Not erased. Just waiting. Epilogue, 2 years later. The city skyline glittered outside my office window. I closed my laptop, rubbing my eyes. The predictive models I'd built now protected not just my home pack, but 3 allied packs and a handful of human communities that had no idea a wolf girl in a blazer was quietly preventing disasters in their backyard. My phone buzzed. A mind link followed a heartbeat later, warm and familiar. "Big news," came Miles's voice. "You sitting down?" I glanced at the chair I was already in. "Yes," I told him. "Unlike some people, I know how to use furniture properly." His chuckle brushed against my thoughts. "Council just approved the Inter-Pack Defense Initiative," he said. "Your models are now officially part of our strategy." They even managed to say statistical analysis without choking. Pride swelled in my chest. "Told you numbers could save the world," I said. "You did," he agreed. "Also, I'm going to be in the city next week. Meeting with the regional council. Want to grab dinner?" My heart did its now familiar ridiculous leap. We'd seen each other countless times over the last 2 years. Pack visits, strategy sessions, occasional weekends where we ran as wolves and remembered what it felt like to be free. We'd fought. We'd laughed. We'd talked about things we never touched as teenagers: fear, duty, therapy, the weirdness of carrying a bond that neither of us had fully accepted or rejected. We'd never once called each other mates. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But every time our paths crossed, the choice felt a little less tangled and a little more ours. "Dinner sounds good," I said. "As long as you don't pick another steakhouse where the waiter calls you Alpha every 5 seconds. "I was thinking Thai this time," he said. "Spicy. Like you." "Smooth," I said. "I try." "See you next week," I told him. "Can't wait," he replied. I set my phone down and stood, stretching. In the reflection of the window, I saw a woman who had carved her own path out of pain and expectation and a bond she never asked for. A woman who loved her pack, loved her work, and was slowly, cautiously, letting herself love the boy who had once been her worst heartbreak. Not because the goddess said so. Because she chose to. When the moon rose over the city that night, I stepped onto my balcony and breathed in the cool air. Somewhere, miles away, a wolf howled. My wolf lifted her head, listening. "Ready when you are," she whispered. "Me too," I said aloud. "One choice at a time."